just putting the new sediment bottle back together prior to installing it onto the brew keg. Just need to make sure that that thread's nice and square and aligned before tightening it up. It doesn't need to be tightened too much. And then just seating the stirrer onto the square bit on the inside. Before placing this onto the brew keg, just make sure that the O-ring is seated correctly in the groove, and then we'll then screw this onto the bottom. Just about to put the bottom half of the new sediment bottle onto the brew keg. Once again, just double checking that the O-ring is seated in the O-ring groove correctly. Screw the bottle up until you feel it pull up tight on the O-ring, and then using the tool, and then give it an extra tighten to make sure that it's sealed correctly. Double check that the bottom is nipped up. That doesn't have to be super tight. If you over tighten that, there could be the issue that you could break the part. Now we're about to mix the ingredients into the brew keg, so we'll leave the valve off. Right, so now we've got all the ingredients inside the brew keg, and the sediment bottle's been installed. The bottom is checked that it's closed, and we're just going to open the valve here and release the liquid down into the sediment bottle. We just do that slowly so that it doesn't jump the stirrer out of place. And then what we're doing now is we just want to look to make sure that this is not leaking around this joint here, or anything coming out of the bottom here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of pressure on the brew keg just to make sure that there is no leak there, and then we're comfortable it's ready to go. Okay, we're just going to put a small amount of pressure into the top of the brew keg, just so that it puts pressure on the sediment bottle below. And then just checking to make sure that we haven't got any liquid coming out of this joint or out of the bottom here. And it all looks fine, so then we're comfortable that the ferment can get underway and we shouldn't have any leaks. We now have the liquid in the sediment bottle, and we have some pressure on the sediment bottle. So in the event that you do have a leak around here before you set the ferment into action, the first thing to do is make sure you shut the valve off, and then open the bottom valve to make sure there's no pressure in the sediment bottle. You can then now remove the bottom part of the sediment bottle, which you will lose some of this liquid in the top part, but once that is done, this liquid here can then be poured back into the top of the vessel. Very good pause. If you have had a leak and it's caused by the O-ring here, you just need to make sure that that O-ring's seated back correctly. So we'll just give it a quick rinse. Make sure there's no sediment sitting in the O-ring area. And then make sure that O-ring is seated down in the groove before connecting it back onto the brew keg. Now we've made sure that the O-ring is seated correctly again, reinstall the bottom half of the sediment bottle, tighten, check the bottom valve is also nipped up, and then slowly release the liquid down into the bottle again.